Hello there, and welcome back to another edition of Silly Car Showdown. Today, we are taking a look at our first modern car, the Porsche Cayman GTS. This came at the request of Azza. Now, I was looking through my car list. I have a bunch of excellent choices to build up on there. However, not many of those cars were modern, and a lot of those cars are British. I wanted something that wasn't British, and I wanted something that was modern, and, well, this fulfills the bill. This should actually be quite an interesting car to put up against the Speed 12, and of course the boosted Imp, which did fail to beat the Speed 12 last time. But nevertheless, let's build up our Cayman. I have no specific outlines as to what to do with this car, so I'm just going to do what I feel is best. First up, unfortunately, this car has a wide body. It looks absolutely bloody awful. This sort of Rocket Bunny kit does look horrific, but it is going to be useful, so we're going to go with it. Anyways, our choices for engine swaps are the 5.2 litre V10 and a 4 litre flat 6. What I'm thinking, though, is I might actually leave the stock engine in this. Let's install that quickly. 340 horsepower. Yeah, I might leave the stock engine in this and see how well it can do based on that. Let's have a quick look at the auto. Yeah, okay, auto upgrade. Yeah, this we'll leave the stock engine in this just to make it a little bit more interesting. Rear wing wise, they're both adjustable, so we can't use either of them. So this wide body does actually come with adjustable front downforce. Nothing much I can do there, I'm afraid, so it's just going to have to be that way. Yes, I know that does mean it technically gives the cars a little bit of an advantage, the ones that have this sort of wide body available to them, but, you know, I want to be able to put the wide bodies on the car because it gives them a unique look, and also it is useful for the tyre sizes. Unfortunately, it is unfortunate they get the front downforce. You might say, oh, well, reduce it to nothing and that'll make it better, but the cars by default have a bit of downforce in them, so reducing it to nothing basically means the car will handle worse than it did. I mean, it's just a bit of a nightmare to sort out, so I'm just going to leave it on these stock downforce settings, is essentially how we're going to go about this. Anyways, let's go ahead and build up the stock engine of this Cayman, but before we do, actually, we did have the option of an aspiration conversion. We had the option of a positive displacement supercharger or a single turbo. I think I'm going to go for the supercharger, just to make things a little bit interesting. Of course, the car is not allowed to be drivetrain swapped, so it is staying mid-engined rear-wheel drive. So that is something to bear in mind. Anyways, we'll see what sort of PI we can kick out of this thing. We are getting up there S2 911. That's kind of funny considering it's a Porsche. Supercharger S2 925. S2 926 with that, and S2 928 with that. Just out of curiosity, how much extra power could we get out of the turbo? Turbo seems to probably be the way to go on this one, as much as I'd prefer to go supercharger. You know what, I think I am actually going to go for the supercharger, make this a slightly lesser power build. Yes, I know technically more PI, but I'm not being funny, the car already looks like it's in with a pretty decent shot, and it makes it a bit more interesting. I like adding variety to these. It makes sense to try and build the cars up to the absolute maximum they can go, but that does get a little bit boring after a while. You've got to play around and do some unique stuff. Anyways, 706 horsepower, 512 foot-pound torque, 2,580 pounds of weight, but of course this car does have the advantage of being a modern vehicle, which should certainly pay dividends when it goes around the course. Or will it? Maybe the fact that the other cars are older may actually give them a handling advantage, because just because it's newer doesn't mean it handles better. But we will find out the answer to that question when the Cayman goes ahead and finds itself on the SCS track. Let's go ahead and get over there. Anyways, here we are at the start line in our fantastically ugly Porsche Cayman, ready to go ahead and set 5 laps on the SCS track to find out how quick it will go. Our current leader is the TVR Speed 12, a stock TVR Speed 12, that set a time of a 151.482. Let's go ahead and see if the Cayman will go ahead and beat that. I have a sneaking suspicion if it drives as well as I think it's about to, it probably will. Also, I need to give my usual shout out to Azza for hosting, well, for basically starting this PvP lobby, and then apparently you can leave, which is really nice. So, it does mean I get to run these races without any distraction, which is nice. So, but I will keep giving a little bit of props to the people who are willing to start the race for me. Yeah, this Cayman already feels like a joy-ish car to drive. It does feel a little bit icy. I mean, well, I guess we're driving it on ice, so that makes sense, you idiot. No, what I mean is it does feel like it kind of drives on ice. It doesn't feel like it's quite getting all the grip down. Not quite as quick as the Imp down there by the looks of it. The Imp did feel a lot quicker. Then again, the Imp is a lot smaller of a car, and the power to weight ratio on the Imp is actually stronger than it is on this. I mean, that made 668 horsepower and weighed 1600 kilos, or 1600 pounds, sorry. If it weighed 1600 kilos, I'd be very concerned. No. This weighs about 1,000 more pounds, or 500 kilos more, and power-wise is only up about 10 or 20 horsepower. But again, it is a more modern car. It has better tyres. In theory, it has better brakes, although, I'm going to be honest, I think the Imp actually stopped a bit nicer than this does. You know, the Imp is a mere mortal compared to this, although I will say, it's beaten the Speed 12. Well, I kind of saw that coming, considering, you know, this car is an S2 class car and the Speed 12 is S1874. But on his first outing lap, he gets a 149.947, which is very good. Getting more weirdness on that little straight bit there. Not quite sure what's there. I don't know if there's like a little pothole or something, maybe. But it seems to be, because the cars are so low running race suspension, they are being thrown off a little bit through there, which is kind of odd. But, yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. As we get a little bit of a slideshow on the way out of there. But yeah, it has to be said, overall this is a pretty darn nice driving car. I can imagine in the dry, it is a very exceptional driving car indeed. Sure, it's hideously ugly, but it certainly is a good car to chuck around here. Not as fun as the Imp. The Imp was certainly more fun, but you know, fun only gets you so far in this world sometimes. Well, quite often, it's always better to be the quickest thing here. Right, so we take the little switchblade. It does not take the switchblade quite as well as the Imp did, but it certainly doesn't take it too badly. What I will say is, more like the Speed 12 and less like the Imp, this car does feel a hell of a lot more consistent. I can trust the Cayman through these corners. In fact, I can trust it a hell of a lot more than I trusted the Speed 12. It feels like it's going to go through things just right. In fact, we're going to absolutely obliterate the Speed 12's time at this rate. Our 148.268, that could have been quicker, but the entrance into that final straight was a little bit on the crooked side. This does happen occasionally. Oop. Picked up a nasty little curb on the way in there. Do not want to do that again. Again, I do try and avoid the curbs a little bit, because I know while they can give you a speed advantage, they are nasty and also covered in ice. So they are not a particularly advantageous thing to drive upon. We smash into a couple of benches and stuff. Probably lost our skill chain. Not that it particularly matters. You will see occasionally the little skill chain and the influence go up. I've turned the actual notifications for skills off. The nose itch I had to do there sort of ruined that straight a little bit. Yeah, it's hardly... It's still not a particularly composed car. I do definitely think something with four-wheel drive would, you know, dominate the course some more. The vast majority of things recommended to me aren't all-wheel drive, and those that are quite frankly a bit ridiculous. So, you know, I don't quite know how soon it's going to be that we can get a four-wheel drive car on the track to really do some damage, but nevertheless, smash through that little post thing there, whatever that was. Oh god, right, really sloppy coming onto there. I don't think this time is going to be any quicker than that we had previously set. So instead I'm going to try and get us set up nicely for a good run onto straight here, coming into this lap. Up on the curb there, get a little bit of an advantage, come round there, clip the apex of that corner. Car gets a little bit unsettled onto there, lift off the throttle a little bit. We can go around there perfectly. I do think leaving the stock engine in this was the right move. It certainly feels more composed. I think putting any more power into this chassis may have spelt a little bit of doom and gloom for the car, but actually, with the way it's running at the moment, it's actually pretty darn nice. Oop. Gotta get a perfect slide on into there. You get a run up onto this straight. Really nice run up. Almost gets the TVR speeds there. 148 down there. Speed 12. Still the fastest car that we've had coming down that straight, which I think is one of the biggest straights in the course. It's sort of, this bit really is the straight line speed bit, but then again, you've still got that sort of long sweeping corner, which will certainly take some wind out of the sails of the cars, which are only good at straight line speed. So yeah, it does sort of balance itself out. Again, I do think I actually built a pretty darn good course here. Of course, one slight disadvantage is the fact that I built it and I haven't tested it all that much. I did play around with it quite a bit the last couple of days, but in general I will get quicker as time goes on. I'm just bollocks the lap up there by trying to turn way too quickly for that corner, as it does happen occasionally when I'm driving. But yeah, eventually I'll get more used to the course, which will give some cars an advantage, but it shouldn't be too much of an advantage. Anyways, we pop onto our final lap. We've got to really make this one count. I think where the Porsche is honestly getting most of its times through this first section, it is so much more composed than the Imp and the Speed 12 were through the lower speed sections, because it's a lot more consistent in the way that it is going to drive. The higher speed stuff, it's alright. I think the Speed 12 and this are actually pretty damn accurate. The Hillman gets better acceleration out of the corners than both of those cars did. Speed 12 has the advantage in more overall straight line speed. That really does not help. So yeah, the Porsche has only ever really got one quick lap out of it, and well, it did well. So yeah, a bit unfortunate that I cocked that up there for the Porsche. I do apologise, Porsche enthusiasts, even if you're enthusiastic about, well, this thing and how utterly hideous it is. But, you know, I'm sure there's a selected member of the audience who likes this. I will say this design's actually pretty nice. The car itself, the wide body kit is hideous, but the actual design itself is nice. That is the absolute worst way to take the Switchblade ever. This is really not a quicker lap than that 148.268 that we set. But then again, the 148.268 has, well, proven its point. It has certainly proven its point that this car is a force to be reckoned with. As we go around... Ooh. Oh, perfect. Just to finish off this lap, but yeah, even still, even though it didn't get quite the lap I wanted it to, I honest to God think this could easily get a 147, maybe even a 146 if you really went for it around this course. Anyways, the ugly Porsche Cayman GTS, I'll think of a nickname for it later on, is going to go into first place. It beats the TVR Speed 12, the benchmark car, by about 3 seconds. Beats the Hillman Imp by 5. Again, in fairness to the Imp, this thing is about 60-70 PI higher than the Imp, but yeah, do not let that take away from the fact this Cayman is a really damn nice car to drive. It may be ugly, but sometimes ugly is fast. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching this edition of Silly Car Showdown. Do hope you've enjoyed. As always, if you want to request cars for this series, you can indeed do so down below on the comments, both on my channel and on HG Central. Do bear in mind there is currently a cap of 2 cars requested per person. And remember, you can request the car, you can even request the engine swap if you want, but you cannot request any other modifications because all the cars run basically the highest tier of upgrades they can. And if you don't give me an engine swap into it, then I'll use my own discretion to decide what engine and aspiration the car is going to be. But with that all being said and done, thank you all very much for watching. There is a link to my channel down in the description if you're watching this on HG Central, where you'll be able to catch these videos a little bit earlier. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.